do you know when you need to change your brakes? Is it just different things that you feel when you actually come to a stop, or is it just the things that actually happen when you actually hear them? So my thing is, I really want to let you know how to go ahead and change your brakes. It's really exciting. Sometimes you might want to just do it yourself, just to save the cost of mechanical issues, and therefore, you know, then you put that money still back in your pocket, kind of a deal. My thing is, how I like to know is pretty much when I come to a stop, I'm usually hearing like a grind or scraping noise, or just a shaking of the steering wheel, or just a different kind of things that would actually happen to your steering wheel that's usually not doing so. Or if your car is pulling to your left or your right, it can be caused of certain things like that as well. So when I'm actually changing my brakes, I usually like to go deep into it, making sure what it will probably be. I really don't want to go ahead and go to a mechanic and verify that information. I like to just go ahead and pull over and say, and just check my brakes. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can take off your hubcap and see as far as your brakes, if it's like a little bit wore down, a little bit on the brake. So I like to check out all kinds of different obstacles just to make sure that's the key. Once I'm actually at my dedication or destination for where I'm actually going to be staying to do the job and get the problem solved, that's where I usually be. It would probably just be at home or a friend's house or something like that. So therefore, I usually would take off the rim and then verify by actually just checking out the brake caliper and just looking at your brake pads and just looking how bad they are. Sometimes it can actually be grind all the way down to the metal where you can really hear a scraping sound. Woo! And it's kind of crazy when you actually deal so, because usually you don't want to get that far down to the metal to metal. Never. But if you do, oh well, so well. You actually might have to change the brake rotor as well as the brake pads, or maybe the whole nine. It might have to do both of them. So once again, you really need to go ahead and check it out and make sure if that's the key. I like to go ahead once again and just go by detail. Some people understands that level because I'm a mechanic, but I like to do things myself. Try it myself first, just to see if I can do it, because money is everything. If you can save, why not save? So if it is the brake calibrators, I usually go AutoZone. I usually call around and find out who has the lowest prices. If it is the front, the back might be in the same situation where they might be going to. So usually I firstly change the front first, because usually that's where you actually step on, all the weight will go down into it. And then if that's the situation, once again, I always will just go ahead and do them first, and then get the best prices as far as AutoZone, O'Reilly's, or just to call around and find out who's actually going ahead and carrying the price for lower price. Once I go ahead and find out, I'll go ahead and purchase the brakes pads, and then and see how bad the rotors are. If you got serious grooves in your rotors, you might want to just change those too, just to play it safe. Okay, so that would be the easiest way of going about it. Because once again, if you get the brake pads and you have big thick grooves in it, you would have to go ahead eventually do it all over again in a matter of maybe 2 to 3 months or less, just depending on how much you step on your brake. So when I'm taking off my brake, man, it's not hard. You can have 5 bolts, you can have 4 bolts. I see when people have 6 bolts on lug nuts or more. But you always want to jack it up from the areas pretty much where you actually have stable, hard metal, not a soft metal where you jack it up and it goes right through your panel, and then you can see it right through where you put your feet at. So you want to make sure you have a bracket to go ahead and put the jack under to go ahead and jack it up properly, so you can actually get a good lift on your pads. I always like to unloosen my brake studs first on my wheel before I actually go ahead and loosen them all up. So I loosen them up, and then I jack it up, and then I take off the wheel. Really simple. Once again, once I do all that, I go ahead and check the brake calipers. There's usually 2 studs on them that you can just lift the brake caliper up and look at them and just see how bad they are. And once again, look at your rotor, see how bad they are. And if they're both bad, replace both of them. Make sure you find a good place to go ahead and get the best prices on them, and then switch them. And all you do is, once you do that, make sure you always have brake spray so you can spray down your brake rotors, and then also go ahead and make sure you have cleaning supplies, and a thing to put under your, if you have a cardboard, or if you have, I bought something from O'Reilly's that was just a metal flat thing that I can put under any wheels, and it's pretty good size, you know what I mean? And then therefore I put it under there just in case if I spray, it'll go onto that. Anything dust, brake caliper, it won't go onto my flooring or the cement or anything like that. It'll go right on the pan, and then I wipe that off afterwards. But I usually go ahead and get something so I can put under when I'm working on anything, just so it won't go right into my metal floor. But once you go ahead and actually do those things, taking it off and finding out what is really bad on it, and supplying and replacing it, and then spraying it back and replacing just how it was actually put on there. Once you're done, I really want you to understand, please, make sure you go ahead and pump your brakes before trying to test drive it. Because if you don't, once again, you can actually have an accident. So you really want to go ahead and pump your brakes before actually taking a test drive. Well, then, you don't take a test drive first. Make sure you supply yourself with brake fluid, just so you have brake fluid in there. Sometimes people actually just clamp the line. That's what I do. But then I actually bleed the line afterwards. Sometimes you don't have to. It just depends on how long you had your brake fluid in there. But usually, for the most part, I would actually go ahead and do it every 6 to 2 years to replace my brake line, depending how dirty it is. But once again, if it's not that dirty, don't worry about it. Just clamp it, just so the brake line would actually be stabilized where it won't go through, and you know what I mean, push your brake fluid through so it will be low. So I usually just clamp it off, kind of deal. And then there's a lot of things you can hang it up as far as your brake calipers when you do change it. You hang it up on your thing. I have a hanger that's just like a hanger, as you know, but it's like it has two coves on it. So therefore I hook one up to the brake caliper and then one right to the spring. So it would hold your brake caliper up while you're actually taking it off. So therefore it won't get in the way of changing your brakes. It's really, really interesting. Once you do it, it's really, really fun, because therefore you'll want to be like, wow, I could have been doing this a long time ago and saved my money a long time ago. It's really the time, place, and supplies. If you don't have the tools or whatnot, I can understand. But for the most part, if you have items around your house of tools to go ahead and work on your car, you need to go ahead and do it yourself. It's really, really easy, very, very interesting, and it's fun, because therefore you can always teach your sibling or friend or family member that don't know how to do it. And then after that, you can make videos. But for the most part, I really want to let you know, this is key. You know what I mean? Just to go ahead and try to do things yourself instead of actually going ahead and have someone else do it for you. But once you replace your brake caliper, please make sure you go ahead and press your brakes, pump your brakes to make sure they're bled properly before taking a test drive so you won't crash. Because once again, if there's no fluid in there, the brakes need to go ahead and compress again, just so they can clamp back onto the brakes. But once again, always spray your brake rotors before taking for a test run. Clean your parts before putting it back on, just so when you actually put them back together, it's clean. You always want to go ahead and have some kind of grease to go ahead and grease your parts. Far as when you do your brake calipers, just because you do need that grease to go ahead and put back in to make it so it's fresh, or involving far as it's the move, so it can maneuver properly. Because if there's no grease into this the caliper parts, therefore it can actually mess up as well. So just wanted to get to you just on a different base, because once again we all need this. But if you like what I do, I will show different videos on this in the future, just so you can see as far as eye for eye on what it is, and therefore you can get it done easier than usual. But please let me know how I done today. Let's subscribe and follow, and you guys have a blessed day, and hope I can hear from you soon. Please let me know how you like the video. All right, thank you. Peace.